12 now, and my Mike and Ike is what we call him. He's 8, and he has been diagnosed with severe ADHD and my autism. So overall, it's my way of life. It's my heart passion, just to make sure that moms get the support from the educational background that I have, as well as from the mothering side, because it's a different journey that I learned along the way. That is different being a actual professional than I'm learning the lens of a mother, and it's really a great different feeling and emotion, as we all know on the screen, right? So that's a little bit about myself, and I'm also married. I've been married for 18 years this coming November, and my husband's a pastor. So that is a little bit about myself.
That's a lot of wonderful stuff about you. And that's actually one thing that I love about each one of you. You have more than one child. So I love that you not only have a child with special needs, but you get to see, or you experience the difference between, parenting each one of your children.
Mhm.
All right, Sherelle, we are going to go down to you. Tell us about you. Or tell them, because I already know about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sherelle Judy. I am a holistic health coach. I currently reside in Silver Spring, Maryland, with my husband and 4 boys. My oldest is 15. My second oldest is 13. The middle child, he got middle child syndrome. He's 10, and the baby is 5. And I am absolutely enjoy being a health coach. I recently wanted to hone my skills, so I went back to school and earned my master's degree in public health, because I really wanted to get intimately and knowledgeable when it comes to like things that impact our community. So I went back to Morgan State, finished my degree there, and I was able to really like get a better idea of what I wanted to focus on, which is the health of Black women, primarily our mental health, because believe it or not, a lot of the illnesses and conditions that we deal with is rooted in stress. So as I continue to, move into more of an education and helping our community, I hope to continue my studies in the future and become future Dr. Sherelle Judy, and continue to help my community in that way. But what am I passionate about is really just to see people healthy and thriving and just living their best lives, no matter who they are. And I, being a mother of a special needs child, it really opened up my eyes to another population that people don't often think about and even put labels on. So, I've really enjoyed this journey. It has not been easy, which I know we'll get into, but it's been a very rewarding experience being a mom of a special needs child.
And Angela, we are now at you. So tell our guests about you.
I am Angela. I'm a mental resilience coach, which that all came from being a mom of a special needs son. My children are, my oldest is 25. Then I have a 24-year-old. He suffers middle syndrome because he's like the first and the middle. Then I have a 22-year-old, and my nation, who is my son who has spastic quadriplegia, cerebral palsy. He will be 21 in July. So this has been my whole life, literally, because I've had all 4 of mine when I was 23. So I had 4 children by that time. So I've been able to just live this process. And I will say it has been a journey, but it has been a journey of love. He's taught me so many valuable lessons, like that I've been able to build my mental resilience on. So that I am in the process of coaching women to build their mental resilience. I like to name it as mental fitness, because I mean, that has got me through everything, even through just having to deal with breast cancer this past time. Like you said, mental health is important, because I believe I manifested that by what was going on mentally for myself. So that is one thing I just want to help women And even men, if possible, to know that your mental health, your mental resilience is what we need to be focusing on. Our personal growth is continual. We need to always focus on that. That should be living. We should not just be existing. We should also be living. And part of living is growing. So we have to stick to that. What else? Nation is, let me tell you, that guy, I swear he's the if he's not happy, we know something is wrong. So he's been the catalyst to keep everybody in like a loving, happy state, because from the time he goes to bed to the time he gets up, he smiles, he's happy, he wants to talk to you, he wants to laugh with you. And the new thing is, I had to keep telling myself he's over 18. He will be 21 this year. So he's starting to understand that. So let me tell you, the cuss words that be coming out of my baby mouth, I'll be looking at him like, child, I done gave you adulthood, and now we just going at it. I just be looking at him like, but he's not saying it like meanly or nothing. He's just now like, oh, I'm expressing myself because I'm older. So, and it's different. He's wheelchair bound. So I've had to be caregiver, like to the full, like showers. We still do showers. I still brush teeth. I comb hair. I wash face. I pull up clothes. So it's been, I don't have all the degrees or anything, but I tell you, they call me Mom PH. They call me Mom MD because they know that I know how his body works, where the tightness is. I know how to get him to calm down so he can relax, so that they can do what they need to do. Like, we're here. Before he answers them, he looks at me like, so it's just been a journey being a special needs mom. And to y'all, I commend you for it, and just know to just keep going and love them and know that they're there, and they smarter than we think.
Yeah.
Trust me, they are so smart. But that's me.
Yes. So, Angela, since you already told us just a little bit, oh, I'm sorry. Was somebody talking? I feel like
No,
I
I
heard an
think that's my
echo.
computer.
Oh, okay.
You
I feel
could.
like I heard an echo. Um, I wanted you all to share your stories, about your children, about your own journey. How did you find out about their diagnosis? What were your initial feelings, and how did you get through that? So, Angela, you already tell us a little bit about your son. So, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, I didn't really know about his diagnosis when I delivered him, because it was kind of an emergency C-section, but not, because they kept me in labor. And when I did deliver, it was an emergency. And he took his first gasp of air at 11 minutes old. So he had asphyxia to his brain. That is why he has cerebral palsy right now. That's why he's spastic quadriplegic, because I guess some of the triggers aren't gone to his body for him to be loose. And that was one of the things that I noticed. He spent 17 days in the NICU. He came home on my 24th birthday. And at the whole time in the hospital, the nurses, he was in the incubator. So I really got to hold him. I never got to put clothes on him, and I never got to change his pamper. So I didn't notice any stiffness at all. But when I got him home, that's when I was like, why am I just like, tight to where I couldn't put his clothes on without like holding. I couldn't put his pampers on without holding my hands in between his legs and putting the pamper on like that. It was weird to me. So at that time, it was Ask Jeeves, and the internet was just kind of starting back in this was 2002. So I started investigating. I started looking on the internet, and I was like, this seems like cerebral palsy to me. So in April of 2003, I took it to his pediatrician and was like, I think he has cerebral palsy. And he did the test, and he was like, you're right. And he was like, he's spastic quadriplegic. And since then, I've just been on this journey of just learning what I can do for him, and making sure that he knows that he can do anything. He just has to figure out how to do it in his own way. And that is exactly what he's been doing. They told me he wouldn't talk. They said he would be a vegetable. They said a lot of things that he's just defied all that. He didn't start talking till he was 6, but he talks. And sometimes I look at him like, please hush. Like you. But that is his journey. His journey is just of being a light, just being a light, and just wanting to grow and know things. He loves basketball. I mean, that child loves him some LeBron James. That is his man. I'm trying to get him to meet him in the shoes. We tried to do the shoes, but his foot won't work in the shoes. So, but he's just a positive person who just wants to grow and learn and teach lessons, because I tell you, he's taught every single person he's interacted with a lesson about just being. Because he doesn't see special needs or disability. He thinks he's just a regular person. He be looking at everybody else like, child, these is legs. He will dance, he will move around, he paces in the living room back and forth. The wheelchair just be going back and forth, back and forth. So he's just like all of us. And his journey is not over yet, because we're almost done school. Like, this is his last year in school. Like, and we're transitioning into seeing what he can do outside of manhood. Oh wow.
Yes, I love that. Tammy said it's amazing what we learn from our kids. And I know when I was looking up, what I wanted to ask you all. And actually, even before I started looking things up, I was listening to a podcast recently. And they were talking about moms with kids with special needs. And I love that the lady was saying that the organization that she has, or that she was a part of, they use the term unique abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, because when you hear special needs, you're just thinking about what they need, but they have unique abilities. Like you said, your son doesn't look at himself as being different. It's like, look, this is like I said, these are legs. This is what
Like,
it
this
is.
is how it
This is
is.
what I can do.
He'll cross
Yeah.
he'll cross them little legs and sit there and look like a pop. And he's very detailed. He could read stuff before he could read stuff. Like, if he knew the order, he knew how to find songs without even knowing how to read the words, which we still be looking at him like, how would you even? They're very smart. We gotta just, I guess, give them the right information and always like support them. Like, I always support him in everything. And if he's always telling me, I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's not you. You just have to do things this way. This is not, you didn't do this to yourself. This is how your life is. Don't be sorry for being who you are. So we just have to encourage them.
Yes. Tammy said, I've never met a child with special needs that wasn't brilliant.
Period.
And before we go on to another guest, I know you talked about all this amazing stuff about your special boy, because that's exactly what mamas always do, right? But let's back up a little bit to the self-care piece. I know you said everything that you did for him. And I know we've had our own personal conversation, which a lot of people will see in a few weeks when your podcast episode will come out. How did you get through that initial shock? What helped you to be the mom who you are to him today? Like, you're not even a mom who is just finding out about this diagnosis. You've been through it. He's grown now.
I guess during the time that I had Nation, my mom she had breast cancer, so she was going through her journey. So I believe now that I've had time to process it by writing the chapter in the book that I have of Mothers of Exceptional Children, I believe I was on autopilot then. And my main focus was, I'm going to raise this child and he's not going to know that he's different. And I'm going to take care of him and I'm going to figure out how. So for the self-care for me was him. Oh, I was about 200, almost 230 pounds then. So it was like, okay, I have to take care of him. I have to lift him out of the tub. I have to I have to lose weight. So I started just, okay, let me take care of that. Then it started going into my mental, like, oh my gosh, I have to take care of my child. Like, he's not normal. Like, and then it was seeing other families with their babies that are the same age, and noticing little things. He couldn't talk. How do I communicate with him? How do I know he wants something to drink? How do I know he needs his pamper change? He didn't even start being able to go to the bathroom and know he was going to the bathroom until he's like 13 for himself. So it's like those milestones were traumatic for me in a sense, but they also taught me how to slow down and pay attention, and to cherish each little thing that our children do. And it even helped me to individualize them. So I don't really have a favorite, but I have a favorite out of each of them because of the differences in them that I was able to see. And it started beginning to journal. I made sure I journaled and I always talk to them, like, just so that they knew, if mommy snaps, it's not y'all, it's me, because that was kind of therapy for myself, because I didn't want to take on what I endured in childhood and pass it on to them. So I was like, I'm going to explain to you, this is what's going on. It's never you. It's me going through what I got to go through to help myself. So what? Journaling, reading self-help books, that helped too. Like, I've found The Power of Intention is by Dr. Wayne Dyer. This book changed my whole entire life. And I recently went back and watched the a YouTube he has where he's doing the audiobook, and I listened to it, and I have lived that book. So it's like you have to start. For me, it was hard. It's kind of hard thinking and focusing on myself. And I think having breast cancer was the catapult that was like, you have to start, because I was still nation, because it moved from being his mom now to I have to be his guardian, to like I have to sign legal papers to be his guardian. I have to, when I take him to the doctors, even though he don't understand and they know he don't understand, they still ask him, and he still looks at me, and I still look at him and say, well, nation, you know what mommy says. Do you want me to tell you what I want, what I would do? And he says, yes. So I tell him, and then he tells them. And it's so weird, because I'm like looking at them like you. So it's just hard having that focus on myself. And that is self-care that I'm working on, is just taking that time for me and doing what I want. So I'm doing speaking, which I think is awesome. The podcast, this helps so much. You don't understand when you only communicate with the people in your house. And now you're communicating with other people. It's a whole different, I guess, style, because you have your immediate family. Y'all have your own slang, your own lingo. Then when you're communicating with everybody else, you got to be like, okay, this is how. So I'm just learning, and self-care is just me, personal growing, self-improvement, personal development, grabbing that personal growth and just holding on to it and keep going.
Yes, that's what I was trying to pull out of her, because I'm like, oh, you kind of holding back. I know what you've done. But yes, I love that she had mentioned before. It was kind of like, well, what, I have to care for him for the rest of, his life. So what do I need to do? And in fact, it benefited you, so she mentioned I got to lose weight. I got to be strong because I got to be able to lift him up. And mind y'all, she's doing a lot. She does spin class. What else? Yeah, she's a beach body coach, so she does a whole lot of stuff.
Coach. I tried to fill my life with things that I love to do that could even help somebody else. And I'm so glad that I found these platforms and stuff, because it's like I always was like, how can I help other moms? How can I let other moms know that your energy will go right into your child? So if you're nervous and upset, they're gonna be nervous and upset. Meditate, calmness, like what's breath work, what skills can I learn to help other people?
Yes, Thank you so much for sharing,
You're
Angela.
welcome.
So we're going to go back to you, Shamika. Tell us a little bit about your story.
So my story, Michael was born, and so kind of thinking about what Angela said, you have my mind going. But I want to say one thing to Angela before we go there further. That you don't need the degrees. You have 21 years of walking in all of what you walked through, and then the fact that you're literally still a caregiver, and so you have an honorary degree. It's your life. So don't you like I always tell people all the time, it's great to have the degrees because so my story, I've been in the field for over Micah's 8, so I'm 40. So for 32 years, all I knew was special education. I've been in every system in my state. I was a service coordinator. I helped write IFSPs. I helped diagnose. I've helped to go into classrooms and observe. That was my educator hat. And then I've always been with my kids. So when I had my daughter, I was in every classroom with her because I was going to school to be a teacher. Then she went on off, and then when my other son came, we used the same people. So I've always been in the field. I'm always able. It's like I always had a gift to where I could diagnose before diagnosing. I could always like I could see right, and so for Micah, I had Micah. So I had Micah on a Thursday, Friday night. The next morning after I had Micah, my grandmother passed away. And I was in the same hospital. I went up to see I was in my hospital room and my mom could kind of say, your grandmother's not answering the phone. Can you have the nurse to take you up to check on your grandmother? So I just had a C-section, had Micah resting, was scrolled up to the room, and my grandmother had died. So I was the first one to walk in and see them trying to bring her back. From that point on, so it just was a lot. We've had a lot of deaths in our family, like close ones, and so I would always say there's just something different about Micah. Like he was a little quieter, he got a little angry sometimes, and but he's always been outspoken. So I was what you said, Angela. Like they're just like you can't help but to love him. One lady used to tell me he was going to be my bunny rabbit. He was busy, but there was something special about him, and so he started going to pre-K, and he didn't start showing like he was always busy, but he's a boy, right? And so my husband always say, don't stop diagnosing him. Stop diagnosing him. I mean, he was always just busy. Now we already have Micaiah and Maurice. So they're all for your difference. So and but Micah was just he would it took some time a little time to process. So Micah was in preschool, and the last year before we got into the pandemic, he started showing anger and started like not listening. And all of a sudden they would say, oh, he was throwing chairs at the teachers. And I'm like, mind you, we're a faith-based home. There's no drinking, there's no smoking, all these things. But during this process, I'm in school to get my infant mental health. And I'm reading these stories about how what you talked about, I think Sherelle earlier about it's not just the diagnoses are not just medical, but what you said, Angela, is mental health, it's the environmental factors, it's the foods that we eat. There's a lot of things that we as women, but not only that, as either as educators, did not know. And so it just was a lot. He was crying a lot. He didn't like school. He was reading like so fast. He just started to regress. And I'm like, nah, something's not right. Like there has to be like this is just not. And then me knowing my background of me sitting in the room with parents at IFSP meetings, IEP meetings, and encouraging moms and telling moms, it's going to be okay, and let's do X, Y, and Z. The Lord was like, okay, who gonna tell you? Like, and so we went to the doctor. So the teachers did some paperwork on him. I mean, like he was having rough times. Then we got into kindergarten. So now that was just pre-K. Kindergarten, we were online. It was rough. He cried every day. He wouldn't get online. He didn't understand. Then he got into the kindergarten classroom. Him and the teacher did not work. It was just he refused to do anything. And by this time, I'm like, okay, like there has to be more. Because right, I always say my favorite something behavior has meaning. So he's not just bad. He's not just this. He's trying to tell us something. So then in our area, there was no one. So there was a year-long waiting list for a developmental pediatrician. So I couldn't wait because he's literally in kindergarten and this is not, he's unhappy. He's crying. He doesn't want to get up. He's wetting himself. He's just acting out. So my husband and my doctor was like, I know a lady that you can reach out to. She does it and she probably can get you in. So I called the lady. But guess what happened? She didn't take our insurance. So we had to pay out of pocket. I'm like, look, my son is not happy. I need to know what's going on. He doesn't just need a whooping. He doesn't just need a timeout. Like it's not working. Like you give him behavior, you give him a timeout, and he go do the same thing over again. You tell him to do something, he wasn't able to process. He was very like, we'll be in the store here. So I was, oh, she's fat. Like he'll just say anything out of the blue. And I'm like, no, like there's something going on. And so we went through the whole process. It was hard. Like I, for the first time in my life, felt what a parent felt when after being told your child has a diagnosis. It was like it just crushes you. And the thing about it is, and my husband's like, but you've been doing this for so long. You've helped so many families. I'm like, but I'm not the professional right now, you know? I'm the mom. I can feel all these things about what about this or did I do this? Was it because I was stressed and depressed or did all of these our environment is about of us losing all these people like the COVID? Like you have all these stories that you tell yourself on why this happened. But guess what? We can't do that. Like literally life happens. So once we figured it out, I began to pull out what I did with what I do with parents as a developmental therapist. What I go out and do, I begin to say, okay, fit this into my home. I begin to tell myself when he throw a fit, yell, okay, it's not you. Something's going on. Most of the times it's when he's tired, when he's overwhelmed, when he can't communicate, tell you what's going on. Then, and so that's how we begin to do the process. And then, as a parent, and I'm pretty sure it was tough because people was just, your family members and those around you would always just like, can you make him sit down? Won't he just be quiet? I'm like, no. And for a while, it was like, we're just not going to go anywhere. But I'm like, no, because as you said, it's not right because they didn't ask to be this way. But I always tell parents, right, as an educator, like, you are the right parent for the job. God knew, like, this is what I tell people all the time. God knew that you can have this gift. So this gift is to you to teach something. Like you said, Miss Angela, they teach us something. They make us remember something. There's so much that they teach us, but it's us realizing who cares what the outside world thinks? Who cares what your girlfriend thinks because you can't go here with them? Who cares? It's just realizing that we are their foundation. We're there to support them. And if we don't, which is why I'm big on self-care, we can't help them. We can't show up. We can't do the job. So for me, it's always literally, God, what am I supposed to do? I don't want, because textbooks does not teach on how to be a parent with a child with this these we can read all the books, but it's you I know it, I learned it, but it's we have to gift it according to our homes. What might work for me won't work for the next mother because our children are uniquely designed. They're not just because this child has autism and that child has autism, they don't have the same kind of thing. But the world is so quick to categorize and put, oh, you go over here, you go over there, but we all have different learning styles. And as a parent, I tell myself all the time, some days gonna be great. Today, before I got on here, he cried because he wanted to wear a suit to his brother's concert. I told my husband, let him put on that suit. We look, your son gonna be late. I don't care about no suit. Some days he wear Crocs. Some days he wears shorts. Some days he wears. Look, he get to school. He get his lesson. Is it bothering me? No. Is it bothering him? No. So that's what we have to remember. It does not matter what it like to somebody else. If you're happy, your house is happy, and that child is developing and doing what needs to be done. Hey, see you later. That's how I see it.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
That is a definite period.
Right. I love everything that you mentioned. I wanted to backtrack on one thing. So my middle son, I always say he was the very hyper one. When you would talk about behavioral problems, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I need Shamika. I need all these tips. And he was recently, I finally got him diagnosed with ADHD. I knew he had it. It was always one of those things. His is very mild. So it was, one of those things like, because I see other kids and they about the same old words, but it's not about other kids. I need to make sure my child is thriving and academically he's doing extremely well. He's in kindergarten, but I've always been watching him. We got in pre-K, now kindergarten. I'm always waiting for the teacher, like, let me see what's going on. And thank goodness he's doing well academically. But the behavior, piece and the focus, is an issue. So, it seemed like it had been getting worse lately. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and be a mom because you had some family members just like, oh, Jalen just Jalen. Jalen is just Jalen. And I want my baby to thrive. So let me
That's the key.
see
Hmm.
if he truly does have it. I'm not trying to put a diagnosis on my child.
No,
But if he does
you want
need
to
help,
equip.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do what we need to do, So we just started medication recently. That medication he on right now ain't working. Look, I just talked to the doctor today, but it's that thing we're figuring things out. But that just really made that's what I was trying to get back to when you said like when you found out the diagnosis. In my head, I pretty much already figured he had it. And even just getting the official diagnosis,
It hit you.
what did
It
I do
hit you.
wrong? It's my fault. I know, daggone well. I already knew about these diagnoses. I knew about ADHD. I knew it was nothing that I did.
Yeah.
And still I was on Google.
I,
What are the
see,
causes?
look, still, and not
Before
only
you
that,
wasn't drinking and smoking while you was pregnant and most of the other stuff. It's
exactly.
just no
See,
reason. Why are you beating yourself up? Same thing. I've dealt with my mental health issues and I've been seeing a therapist this year. Same thing thinking, maybe it's because I did something. Latoya, you ain't do nothing. And it just, yeah, we're always beating ourselves up. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because, like, you are the expert. You are the parenting expert. You knew all of that, but you still question what did you do wrong,
'cause,
knowing
like,
that
and
you did
then
not.
and not only that, because they're our babies, right? They came,
Hmm.
we learned through all these books that they came from us and they heard everything, but they're still like, we don't, the thing I always tell myself too, and think of, we don't control it. Like, we're gifted with this gift to help develop, but we're still not in control. We're all women of faith. Who has the last say? What
Hmm.
does the word say? What does God say? And I pray every time before I make a decision. God, I don't want to live in fear. I don't
Hmm.
want to live in what the statistics say about our black and brown kids, especially boys.
Yeah.
Boys are we got all these things to think about. So yeah.
Yes. And I love that you also mentioned, whether it's ADHD, autism. I've definitely always heard that with autism, but even with Angela's son having cerebral palsy, Sherelle's going to share with you all a little bit about her son in a moment. The diagnosis that they have is a wide range. So, from mild to severe, how I hate this and I know a lot of other people do sometimes when it comes to somebody who has autism. They're like, oh, he doesn't look like he has autism. There is no look. Some people do have a certain look for certain, diagnosis, certain health conditions. Everything does not look the same. Or you may look at somebody and think, oh, they can't do XYZ and they're like more intelligent than you. It ranges from their cognition, behavior,
Hmm.
the mental, the physical, if they have disabilities. All those things are on a very wide spectrum. So like you said, you can have a group of children all in the same room. Everybody has the same exact diagnosis. Each one of them have different abilities and needs. So it's not going to parenting isn't going to look the same for each mom. What we can do is build that community, to build, had the resource I mentioned, like you mentioned, the health insurance issue. I know there are a lot of moms who, through experience, which I'm sure you all have had that experience, through experience, you have had to find the tools and resources to get certain things that your child needs, whether it's medication or equipment, if it's a physical disability, whatever. And these are the type of things, while, we can connect to, just help each other out. What
Yeah.
worked for this parent may work for you. What may work for her doesn't work for you, and so on. So it is good for everybody to connect with each other, but just know that it's not going to look the same for each and every one of us. Just like a mom, period. If you don't have a child with special needs, parenting is still different for each and every last one of us. The way we take care of ourselves is different. How you want to take care of yourself ain't going to work for me, and vice versa. So we just really have to figure out what works for us. We have to see what works for our child. I love that you mentioned certain things. It's like, why do we care? So okay, your child want to put on a suit, okay, let him put on a suit. Like I said, he's happy. That was the main thing I wanted to repeat back what you said. As long as you're happy, your child is happy, everybody in your home is happy, forget everybody else. That's their business. If they have a problem, my home is happy, my child is happy, life is good.
Amen.
All right, Sherelle, Miss Judy, it is time for you to share about your story and about Joel, right? Joel. I want to almost say Noel, confusing him with
Yeah, it's some people say Joel, it's Joel. We call him Joel, but yeah,
Oh, I
Joel,
don't know
little
why I thought you
Joel.
actually said Joel before. Okay, so Joel.
Some people call him that. It's
Maybe
fine. It
that's
doesn't
why.
matter. Say potato, potato. It's the same. So our journey actually started when I was still pregnant with him. So when I was pregnant, you know how you have these prenatal tests and everything, and they were like, Miss Judy, it's a very high chance that your child has Down syndrome. And in previous pregnancies, I've heard that, so I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, this is probably the same thing, right? And what was so crazy, the first solution that the doctor had for me was termination. And I was like, my husband was like, no, we're not going to do it. So then we had to go for the ultrasound just to check and see if he had any of the features, that he may have Down syndrome. And they were like, well, he has, a hole in his heart, that is pretty consistent with children with Down syndrome. And his solution was termination. And then we went to a genetics, what do you call him? A genetics doctor. I'll just call him that. And I said, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm not terminating. Please don't even give me that solution. So she was like, okay, that was the end of it. But we had family members who were saying the same thing. Like, he's gonna have all these issues, maybe the best solution is termination. I was like, no, we're not going to abort him. So when did we find out that Joe had Down syndrome? I knew right away when he came out that he had it. He didn't get officially diagnosed, but I could tell like around his eyes, he had the extra, they have the extra flap over their eyes, and I was like, oh yeah, he has it. But he was so cute. I was like, and then that mama bear instinct immediately kicked in for Joel, and I just became very protective. However, I did have a mourning period. Like I was grieving that my child, had to go through this. Like I remember praying, I had people praying, like, Lord, why, and the scripture that one of my sisters in Christ gave me was that Joel is fearfully and wonderfully made. Just keep speaking that over him. So I was like, while I'm in my mourning period, I was grieving because I was just like, I didn't know what kind of life he was going to have, what quality of life he was going to have. And then like a week after we brought him home, he started like he couldn't keep his food down. And so we had to, take him to the hospital. They thought he had a bowel obstruction in his bowels, and found out he has a disease that is his colon wasn't functioning at all. So we had to go through that, and that was life threatening. Down syndrome is not life threatening, but what his physical condition, that was life threatening. The hole in his heart, that was life threatening. And that put into perspective, and I was just like, just praying, Lord, I just want him to be okay. So as you know, we were in the hospital, I had people praying for him. We left home with so many diagnoses. He had, Down syndrome was confirmed, which I already knew. He had the disease in his bowels. He had bleeding on his brains. He had a hole in his heart. And then he developed, because of the PICC line, he developed a blood clot in his leg. So, we was just like, oh, poor Joel. Like, what kind of, I'm just thinking, what kind of quality of life is he going to have? And it just puts things into perspective, what really matters. And it was no longer Down syndrome. At that point, it was just like, okay, my child has Down syndrome, but what about this? So, we just prayed over him. Honestly, we prayed over Joel. We had everybody praying for him consistently. Like, we had people like on prayer, prayer circles, just continuously praying for him, and praying for me, praying for my husband, because that was difficult. And he finally stabilized. And then, he did have to have his colon removed, and that happened during the pandemic. So, just taking care of him and making sure that he was good, making sure that my other children were good, making sure everybody's good. It really did take a toll on me taking care of myself. Like, I just didn't matter at all. Like, I need to make sure everybody's good. And I was still working. I was homeschooling at the time. It was just a lot that I was doing. And I just put my self-care on the back burner. Even when we did the conference, Latoya, I was just like on autopilot. I mean, maybe people didn't notice that, but it was just like I needed to, just be there for others, and I really wasn't showing up for myself. So, it's hit I hit a wall. I started to develop like anxiety, couldn't sleep, started having panic attacks. I'm a believer, like, what is going on? Like, and the root of anxiety, of course, is biological, but it's fear. Like, I was dealing with a lot of fear, like, of the unknown. And I had to pause. I did go back to school. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did decide to go back to school, and that on my plate. I walked the stage, thank God, in December, but I was just like, I could not even remember that day. I was so tired, and I was like, okay, time for me to look for work. And the Lord was like, no, you're going to sit down. And that's what I did. Like, the last couple months, I was just like, I did nothing. Like, I worked, of course. The boys, are in school and everything. Joel's much more, in a little bit more independent. He's 5, but he's a little bit more independent. So, I just made myself and taking care of myself a priority. And that's kind of where I've been. Like, I've been exercising. I've been trying to get more rest, drinking water, staying away and out of drama. Like, I have a very low tolerance for drama. So if like if you're bringing too much negative energy, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do it right now. Like, honestly, that's how I've been the last couple months. Has really been about taking care of myself, because, like you said, I believe with Shamika, like, if we go get sick, right? If we're not taken care of, like, what happens? Like, what happens to our children, especially those, because I am his caregiver, like, things that he needs, like, he needs help with the bathroom still, like, making sure he eats and takes a bath, and, all this stuff. Like, if I'm not able to do that for him, you know, that hurts him as well. So I had to make myself a priority in this season. So
Yes, thanks for sharing that, Sherelle. And I just want you all to know who is watching. So you had Angela, who, her youngest son who has cerebral palsy. He inspired her, and between his inspiration and their journey together, that's what motivated her to become the mental resilience coach. Shamika, Sherelle, and I, we're like already in, like, working as different kind of coaches, and then had to deal with like these new diagnoses. So like when Sherelle was talking about the conference, I remember Joel was a baby then, and
Yes.
she had him sitting on she had him at the conference on her lap while we were doing our panel discussion. You can't tell me she wasn't looking like super mom. She's like, oh, you probably couldn't tell. I sure couldn't. You know, and she was already a health coach. And I'm just saying that because I feel like sometimes when people look at the expert, you look at them like, oh, they're perfect, or oh, they already know what to do, so it's not bad for them. We're human. We are all human. And as you all know, with children, as they grow, things change too. So you have to transition sometimes. Sometimes something is working right now, and then tomorrow is not, or next month is not, and another year or whatever it's not. So yeah, the times will come where life gets overwhelming. I've well, I say I've dealt with the anxiety. I'm actually seeing a therapist right now for my anxiety because that kind of spiked at the beginning of the year, trying to do a lot. Like Sherelle was saying, like you went back to school and it's like, I don't know why I did that. Sometimes we're trying to do so much because we do have these passions in ourselves. We have these things that the Lord is, directing us to do, but a lot of times we're still trying to figure out how to do it and without depleting ourselves. And a lot of times, I know for me, and I know you all can relate to it. And Sherelle mentioned it. It's like a lot of times you have to remember why you need to slow down and take care of yourself because they need us. You know, hey, dad might be there, but a lot of times that mama nurturing, we got all the T's crossed, I's dotted, and everything. And I know we're going to get back to Angela in a moment because Angela broke down like what she has her family do to help out, at home also. But like, yeah, they need you. They need you, mom. You know, um, and like Shamika said, God knew what He was doing when He gave your child to you. So just like with Sherelle, like with the before he was born, they're already trying to encourage you, probably even trying to push you to abort your child. But God knew what he was doing when he gave Joel to you. He has the right mom to support him, love him, help him to have a great quality of life. And I feel like you knew that. It's like, look, I don't need to keep getting, all these different tests done. I'm going to have him regardless. Yes, you are fearing the unknown, sometimes mourning the unknown of, having, just like with Angela, like from birth, it's like, you're already thinking in advance, like, how's his life going to be? But with faith and still prioritizing your care so you can give him the best care as well, you're going to get through it. Having that faith, looking to God. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep on believing. He's going to guide me. We're going to get through this. And that takes me to the next question. You know, I want to hear about Angela. You mentioned it a little bit, but we're gonna backtrack and you might want to share something else also. What pretty much what is your child's strengths? What have you seen, like those things that just bring you so much joy? Because a lot of times, again, a lot of people are always thinking about what they need, but they have so many things that are amazing about them. I know Sherelle shares a lot, just talking about, just how, like, I feel like what I guess what I'm trying to say, like when you see a child smile, you just see that joy and that piece of them. A lot of times that just shows you how happy they are. Like it seemed like you are, like they could be like they could have had that surgery. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied, but like they could have had surgery and you see them smiling and playing, and just every little bit that you see, that happiness that you see in their eyes, it brings you joy. And then again, they have their special abilities that bring you joy. Like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So, what are some things that you just really enjoy? What are their strengths? What makes you happy that you know? Just like, hey, each one of your children, they're special, but hey, this baby right here, he got to go on.
Well, Nation he's happy. But he is a teenager. He is in that stage where he goes through his little, where I have to tell him, boy, you better go back there in that room and count to 20 or something. You better count. get it together, and he'll go back there, and he's always telling me, True, if I tell him something, like he'll do something, I say, well, if you do it this way and you would have, he'd be like, True, that's true. So he's very open to feedback. If you if something is, if I feel that, well, you could do it this way and it would be easier, or we're going to do something, we're going to do shower this way, or I'm going to have you brush your teeth this day and then I'll do it the next day. So he's very open to those things. He's very detail oriented. I think he's very smart in people's sense, like in that he's emotionally aware. Like he can sense when people are off, and he can light up the room. So he's very like aware, his self-aware. That's what I would say, is he knows his behaviors. He knows when he's off, and yeah, I can tell I was a little. He said, but I'm back now, and I swear, when he wakes up, he's happy. When he goes to bed, he's happy. He's just a very positive person. And I think that helped me on my track to staying positive and pushing myself more to do the things that he can't do. Like, I'm going to stay physically fit because he can't. I'm going to go up and down these steps because he can't. You know what I mean? I'm going to dance because he can't, So it's like he pushes, he's catapulted everybody in the house to really be the best them that they can be, because he's the best version of himself. Yeah, I swear he don't pay us no attention. For the longest time, I had him in physical therapy because they give you the hopes. Oh, he can walk. He'll walk. He'll walk. He'll walk. Come to find out, because we're giving him the physical therapy and he's so tight, his coccyx, which is his tailbone, it's in your back like this. His started popping out like it was a tail because of the physical therapy. And he's not saying anything until I notice it, like, Bud, does that hurt? Because you're in your wheelchair you're in your wheelchair the majority of the time. And he was like, yeah, it does hurt. So I had to come to grips with, I wanted him to walk so bad. He didn't really care about it. He's not focused on that. That's not even in his, he like, this is it. I'm good where I am. So it's like, no, him teaching me how to pay attention to what other people need versus what, I would want for them. So that's how I think he helped me to raise the rest of the boys, in a sense, because I didn't impose what I wanted on them. It was always, okay, I'm going to give you advice, but it's always ultimately your choice and what you do in life. So he's a great teacher, like the most wonderful teacher ever. A life teacher. That's what they are. They teach you life and how to be a person, how to be a human, and, and have humanity, and actually have like morals and virtues, and smile and be happy and care about how you make a person feel, and not judging a person, because it's like, I feel if I'm going to be judging somebody, I'm in judging. It's like you're judging somebody sitting around judging my child, and I don't want that. So I try, just those virtues of being the best version of yourself.
Yes, I love that. What about you, Shamika? What have you found rewarding on this journey, and what are your child strengths? Those things that bring you joy.
I would say his character, and he's a musician. Like he literally has been playing the drums since he was like 2. Like literally, and sitting in church on the front row. He out from using sticks to, I mean, from pencils to sticks to taking my boxes, and like he's always he loves music. He loves church. He can preach a bad message all the time. Um, and he's very caring and loving, like literally. And it's like when you know you're having a bad day, he gonna either join somebody or tell you to watch something. So for me, even though his social skills are not always appropriate, he doesn't know when to cut it off. That's part of his but he'll give anybody anything. When he goes shopping with my mother-in-law, he always trying to bring his brother and sister back a gift. Like he's just really loving. So it makes you laugh. We um we just call him a little bishop around the house. That's just who he is.
And what about you, Sherelle? What has been rewarding, and what are Joel's strengths?
I would say his ability to go through adversity and go through it in such a positive way. Because of his condition, his physical condition, like if he eats certain foods, sometimes he'll cramp up, and I just noticed like sometimes he'll be in pain, and what he'll do is he'll just pause for a moment until the pain goes, and then he just keeps going like nothing happened. And it's just like I learned so much just by watching him and seeing how he has dealt with adversity, because he does it in a way where it is what it is. Let me just wait while until the moment pass. And I don't always do that. I get very emotional. I get upset. I cry. I probably have temper tantrums more than God cares to hear. Like one of those children. Um, but he's shown me how to handle life's adversities. I think that's like one of his greatest strengths. Also, just hearing, he's just a happy person. Like he's very positive and um, excuse me, my children. I knew they couldn't last an hour. I just knew it. So just seeing, he just knows how to rally the troops, like keep us going and joyful and happy. He knows how when I need a hug the most. Like he's just got like this sensor, this radar, like, oh, mommy needs a hug. And he'll just come up and, just give me a hug when I really need it, and it's just been, he's just a great kid. And my Wi-Fi is acting up, but all my children, they have their strengths. But it's just he's just amazing. I love him. And my Wi-Fi is going out, so I'm gonna
Yeah, you're
try to.
you're clear now. And
Okay.
speaking of the other kids, I wanted to know how you all how have the other kids been, with their sibling. I feel like some people have challenges initially, like even they can get along all the time, but like what are some ways that I guess you could just share about the interaction between your other children and your child who has special needs, whether was it bad at first, was it something that, how did you have to help them through it, just whatever you care to share. And you can go, Angela.
They are awesome because they're stair steps. So we have 25, 24, 22, and soon to be 21. They're always like so close to where they helped me. So Nation's first word was Kai, was his big brother's name. Go figure, not mom, not dad, but Kai. That's one of his favorite people. So they are so close, and I love their relationship because they help each other. Like they know each other, they support each other. They help me with him still to this day. They help each other. So they're just very close. And I think they, once one of them grows in some way, he grows in some way. So he's always had like that example of, I'm going to try to do what they do. I'm going to play the PS4. I'm going to play the PS4. He done taught himself how to do it. I'm going to make YouTube videos. He just learns from them. So they love each other. They're my buds.
Yes, I love it. And I know Angela was saying that she's able to do a lot of traveling now and, go out to, you know, work on coaching and speaking and just doing those things that she loves because they got the routine down pat. She taught them how to take care of him while she's gone. And of course, she's taught he
Nation.
Nissan, right? Nation. I know I
Nation.
call him Nissan.
Mhm.
Nation. He knows how to do some things for himself also, but those things that he can't do for himself, she said, like, I'm checking to making sure. She said, make sure they don't have my bud jacked up. Like, I better make sure my boy good while I'm gone.
Mhm. And they do. And it's awesome that they do for him like that.
Yes. What about you, Shamika? What's it the spring's been like for your kids?
I would say they have their days, so it equals out because they're all 4 year different. So in our house, he think he runs everybody. So every now and then, the middle child loves to say no. So he tries to run the middle child, and then the middle child's like, "No, you're not going to do that." And then the oldest, which is the girl's like, "No, I'm the oldest." But overall, they'll help when needed. They'll support with homework. They'll help with school when anything is needed. But he thinks he's the boss over everybody, even me and dad and grandma. So we have to sometimes set the set of like, no, sir. And just like you, Cheryl, they just all back in. So I'm pretty sure you might hear his voice after a while because he's gonna try to figure out who am I talking to. But yeah, he likes to be the boss. But overall, they help each other. And but when he has his moments, they have to give him his moments by himself.
Yeah, and I feel like that's typical period because these kids they're gonna get on each other's nerves, period. But in the end, they love each other. And what about you, Cheryl?
So they absolutely adore their brother, of course. And he's just very easygoing, anyways. But like Shamika said, he thinks he runs the show. Like we had a conversation today. I'm like, look, you're the baby, you're the youngest, you are not the boss of anybody, okay? And he's like, yes. But I'm looking at him, his expression, and he's just telling me yes, just to be saying yes. So I would stop talking, right? But yeah, his brothers adore him. They treat him like they treat each other. Honestly, they don't treat him differently, which I think has been very helpful in his development. As just his interactions with other people and just him picking things up and learning, he really learns more from what he learns from his brothers, like even in conversation and and even his love for writing. I mean, he still can't form his letters yet, but just the desire to want to write. He sees his brothers doing it, so like he learns a lot from his brothers, and they adore him. I mean, they are at times that he gets on their nerves, just like any typical brother, right? And because he's wants to run the show and run them, they're like, no, you can't. And he doesn't always want to hear that. So it's just it's wonderful to see that dynamic, because they really do treat him like even like the wrestling. I'm like, oh, like, oh, you're being too rough, but they just throw him around like, he loves it. So yeah, but they have a
Boys
great
will
Boys
be
will be
boys.
relationship.
boys.
Boys will be
Yes,
boys.
yes,
We said it at the same
yes.
time. So, ladies, as we begin to wrap things up, I just want to know what is the biggest thing God has taught you throughout this whole motherhood journey? Shamika, we'll start with you.
Honestly, to believe, trust, and follow his spirit. Because a lot of decisions that we have to make along this journey, as we all talk about, is decisions that is going to either help them or harm them. So we really need his guidance along the way, as far as doctors, as far as teachers, as far as medications, as far as his foods, like every aspect of their life literally is in our hands. And one decision can either help them or push them back. So we have to be very careful next to him. I always say, Holy Spirit, lead and guide me in every area when it comes to their overall health. Because again, and then we're going to have our trial and errors. But I feel like if we literally be like almost what you said earlier, Angela, being intentional about everything when it comes to them. And not only if you want to be for real about ourselves too, because in reality, we all are unique individuals. So we each have an intentionality that we need, but we can't do it without him. Like literally in every area. Acknowledge him, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord all our night. Lean not to our own understanding. And all always acknowledge him. And that's the most important is parenting because that's what's near and dear to his heart. How does the world continue to grow? By bringing more children in. And there's a reason why they're uniquely designed to be in our families, in our communities, in our homes, in our churches. There's a teachable moment, but we have to be ready and equipped to do it.
Amen to that. What about you, Sherelle? What has God taught you throughout this whole journey? Still teaching you.
Still teaching me to keep him involved in every area. So to pray, like really, I learned that there's no prayer too small, no prayer too big when it comes to any part of our lives, not just our children, but just life in general. He wants to be intimately involved with everything that has to do with us because he is our father. And another thing is to breathe. Learn to breathe, learn to pause. And that comes into self care, just taking that time out to take care of yourself. So I definitely learned that because if you don't slow down, your body might make you slow down. So I had to learn that to pray about everything and to breathe.
And what about you, Angela?
I will reiterate what y'all said because it literally happened to me. Like your faith, number one, like seriously, through all of this, if I had not had my own relationship with God, I don't know where I would have been, because there were times where I thought I didn't. And just for him being gone for 11 minutes and then him coming, and I feel that God gave him to me, like, you're here for something, so I'm gonna give you this. Then after almost losing my son in 2020, that was more like, okay, praying. I have to get back to praying, because when my mom passed, it was like a lot of things that she had were doing. I kind of, they kind of fade away. So getting back into praying. And then when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, that was my wake up call to be like, you really need to get back into your self-care and what you need to do for yourself. Do for you. I mean, because if you're not right, that's what he keeps saying to me. If you're not right, everybody around you is not going to be right. You need to understand this. And that's what the message that I keep getting. Like, if you have to go rest, you have to go rest. Do it. Like, so it's just that praying, keeping your faith, and just him just blessing me, keeping my circle tight, and people that are around me that support me is really like a blessing too. So God is good, and God is love. That's what I keep trying. God is love. Like, love everybody. I love y'all. Thank you.
And just to be clear, y'all, when she said that her son was in an accident, she was talking about another son. So she's had to take care of another child, after an accident, and help him be resilient, So, yeah, mothers, we got to take care of ourselves, because, yeah, our babies need us and the world needs us. As women of God, we are here to serve in many different ways. So we have to be well equipped, taking good care of ourselves, our souls in every way. So, mamas, as we come to a close, I'll start with you, Shamika. What is a word of encouragement, a tip, advice, or resource, whatever you want to share with the moms out there who could need support, or whatever it is through your experience, and you are a parenting coach, the parenting expert, and you have a child with special needs. So if there's anything in particular you would like to share with our moms, go ahead and let them know.
I would honestly say it starts with you. At the end of the day, it starts with you. So it's important to check your triggers, check your emotions, check your mindset, check your health. And then, if you're any mom in any community where your child has a disability, connect with your programs that service them. Learn about the programs that are offered to you. It does not matter because of your income level. It does not matter because of your education level. There are programs through every state in our state that support families with children with disabilities. Do not feel like you're by yourself. You got to pay for everything. Connect to the programs in your community. If you don't know where to go, if you're in the state and need help, send me a message. Connect with Latoya, and we can find it. But don't be out there by yourself. That's the key to it all. You gotta take care of yourself and get in a community that can help you build, and also know what your state offers. And if you need it, speak up. Pride will get us lost. Pride will make us lose opportunities, and while we're trying to create a wheel that's already been created. And if you need help getting access into those areas, there's always an advocate program in your community. Reach out and we can make sure that you get what you need. Those are the key things that to continue to parent and to continue to take care of ourselves. So I would encourage you, connect, connection, and taking care of yourself.
Connection and taking care of yourself. What about you, Sherelle?
So that was number one. I said find a community. Most likely other parents whose children are going through the same journey as yours, like other parents who are dealing with children with ADHD, or other parents who are dealing with autism. Even though it's a spectrum, a range, it doesn't matter. They will still probably have tips and strategies to help you, while you're processing, especially when you're new. Like, it's a new diagnosis. It's so important to have a community. My good friend, she's like a sister in Christ, big sister in Christ. Her son has Down syndrome, and she was such a great resource for me, and even emotional support as I processed the fact that my son has Down syndrome, because like, Mama Bear did kick in, but I still had to process the fact that he had it, because it was going to be a different journey than what I was used to. And my other tip is just to practice forgiveness. Honestly, you're going to feel angry. You may even be angry at God, like, why did you let this happen? Or you may be angry at yourself, like, what did I do? Like, you thought maybe there was something I did. No, you just have to understand that this is life. This is what happened, and this is what you have to deal with. And it wasn't it wasn't done maliciously. It was just something that happened, and God has a greater purpose and plan for your child. So you have to practice forgiveness, honestly, and not stay in a place of anger, because some parents are angry that their child is dealing with that. And it can sometimes reflect in how you care for them, or even have some kind of resentment, or, towards your child. And you don't want that. You want your child to have the best opportunity to thrive. So you have to practice that as well. That's my tip.
Thank you. And what about you, Angela?
Yeah, I love that. It happened. It didn't happen to you. It happened for you. For you. The key is for you. You gotta just know. And I want to. A tip is just about energy. Just watch your energy. Just watch your energy, because they will pick up on it. Like, that helped me through seizures and everything. Just knowing how to control my energy, and knowing that he gonna pick up on it, regardless if I think he's not or not. He will know. And another thing is, I do have a resource. Me and 5 other mothers of special needs children. We wrote a book. It's called Mothers of Exceptional Children, and each of us have a story in here about our exceptional children. But in the beginning of the book, a writer, Abina, she wrote an introduction, and she gives so many useful resources. Like, she breaks down the IEP, what it is. Like, it's so many, and we're this is pre-order now, and we're still working on getting it done. But I think this would be a great resource. We've already got it to where it's going to be in somebody's curriculum. So, and I know that there was no books about special needs. Like everybody's been saying, everybody's child is different. So I think this book would help give resources and everything, because every mother's story is just so information packed. Like, so that would be my advice, is just and same thing with the ladies, pray and just have a community that supports you.
So, speaking of your book, Angela, how can our followers, listeners, however they're viewing this right now, how can they stay in touch with you? How can they get your book, and let them know what you have coming up?
All right. You can follow me on Instagram, and that's at today's_vibe 4.0. On Facebook, I'm Angela Williams. And what else is there? Oh, I have another book, Girl Get Up and Move, that I have coming up with Latoya's in that book also. It's another anthology. You Are More Than a Conqueror. So that's coming up. And what else do I have coming up? I have a break coming up, child, because these last 3 months have been, look, your girl is taking a break. That's what's going on. For like this month, I have like a break coming up. So that's me. That's what I got. But follow me on social media. If you want to join my VIP resilience community and get in the email chain, then go ahead and just message me on either Instagram or Facebook is fine.
Yes, and I'll be sure to put all of their contact information in the comments after we wrap everything up. Shamika, go ahead and tell our followers how they can stay in touch with you and if you have anything coming going on.
Well, for the month of May, I am doing a TV show for I'm stepping in for another sister in my group. It's called Hearts TV, and I'll get you over every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central. I'm talking through the social emotional development of parenting for parents, as well as how to connect with your love languages and then practice self care. So every Sunday, starting this Sunday all the way to the end of the month of May, will be a 30-minute segment on teaching you social emotional development. And so that's one way. I also have a parenting group called Parenting on Purpose, where I support and moms with self care as well as provide training and strategies. I am Shamika C. Brown on Instagram, and on Facebook, Shamika C. Thomas Brown, because my last page was taken. Also, I have SCB Education Consultant, where I also do trainings for programs, chakra centers, and organizations. And I will be launching this month back opening my podcast, which is I'm changing the name to Unshakable Parenting, to rebuild the brand and begin to speak more on the needs of families from the professional and the personal realm. So those are some of the things that I'm connected to at this moment.
All right now. And what about you, Sherelle? How can everybody stay connected with you and let them know if you have anything going on?
Yeah, so during my during my break, I was still my wheels were always turning. So I actually authored a guided journal. It's called Refuel, and the focus is on busy moms, caregivers, and busy professional women who need to take like a short break to themselves, because we do need to be more intentional about taking time out every day just for ourselves. You can find me on Facebook, Sherelle Judy. I have a very unique name. I don't think anybody else has that name. You can find me on Instagram, Happy Life IHC, and happy is spelled with an I. So at Happy Life IHC on Instagram.
Yes, and Sherelle and I, we worked with a few people years ago. We co-authored a book, My Whole Self Matters Empowerment Journey Journal. So I'll see you. I'm just connected with everybody. All right. And if you all don't know me, again, my name is Dr. Latoya Wiggins, and I am the host of the She is a Nourished Mom podcast. This here self-care mommy chat. So we are having self-care mommy chats monthly. So be sure to follow me if you aren't already. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at She is a Nourished Mom. Be sure to follow me, stay up to date on our monthly self-care mommy chats. Next month, we are talking about the working moms and the mompreneurs, and talking about self-care, faith, and motherhood, along with just being busy working moms. All right, so stay up to date with me, and even email me or DM me. Let me know some topics that y'all want to hear about. All right, because I have a lot of topics in my own mind, but I need to know what y'all want to hear about also. All right, y'all may say something that I haven't thought about, or if I hear a topic that a lot of people are wanting, I'll get that to you a little quicker. All right, so again, I will type in all of our information in the chat when we wrap things up. And I want to thank you all who have joined us here live. I am thanking all of you who are joining us on the replay. And I hope you all have a blessed night. Do any of you ladies want to wrap up in prayer? If not, I will. Anybody feel led to pray? Going once, going twice? All right, I'll wrap it up. All right, let's bow our heads. Father God, I thank you for this wonderful self care mommy chat that we had tonight. I thank you for connecting me with Angela, Shamika, and Sherelle to talk about this much needed conversation on parenting children with special needs. I pray for all the moms listening today, whether they have a child with special needs, whether they have any other challenges going on in life, whether they are another mom here or person here who is here just to learn how to support their friend, their sister, and how to parent their child who has special needs, to help her with her self-care, to make sure that she does not lose herself. I pray that you will lead these moms, you will guide these moms, or any caregivers, any person who is here looking for support or wanting to be support to someone. Lead them and guide them on how to serve you well, Lord, in motherhood, in their marriages, in their jobs, whatever area that you have called them to serve you in. I pray that you will lead them and guide them in those areas. I pray for all the children of these moms who are listening, Lord. I pray that you will bless them with good health, bless them with a great quality of life, and bless them to have all the resources available to them to help them have a great life, help their moms, encourage their moms in any way that they may feel defeated, any way that they may feel down, that they feel like they are struggling. Lift them up and give them guidance on what to do to be healthy, to be happy, to have peace and joy in their life, no matter what the circumstances are, Lord. I pray and ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Again, thank you, ladies. I love you all. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. There are moms out here who needed to hear this today. So I thank you all for just blessing the moms out there. Thank you for blessing me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
thank you.
Ladies, I loved hearing, and I will be on y'all's Facebook and friending you and everything. So, hey.
No
Yay.
problem at all. Looking forward to the connections.
Yes. And again, I'll have all of that
Yes.
information. If anybody is watching and you all have any questions for our guests, just be sure to type in the comments and just tag them. All right. All right. Have an amazing night, everyone.
You
Bye
too.
Thank
bye.
you. Have a good
Bye.
one.